And we're live.
Everybody, welcome back to the channel. We're live. Don says we're live, so I'm looking at my phone.
Good to see you guys. Glad to have you. Thanks for coming. Aaron won again this week for our school contest to come on the show. So we're going to give him another 15 minutes. If you guys want to come on the show and compete, and we'll probably do another PSA later, but please get in there, make some comments, get some likes, and we'll see you on here.
Now, Aaron's going to be hard to beat. So, Aaron, we might have to let the second place runner-up come in on the show next week, just because we want to get some variety in here. But we're glad to have you back. You were excellent last week, and I expect great things this week. So welcome back.
High pressure.
High pressure, man.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I want to first of all thank anybody that's been in the school community that's reached out and has offered some suggestions, and I've had a lot of dialogue off the platform and it's been helpful. I'm getting pretty close to making an offer on this deal in Maine, so I'm still looking for a partner. I'd really like an equity partner, I think, at this point. But for today, I thought that I would bring a couple of questions that I think that I might run into as I'm progressing through this process. So the first one's about insurance. And at what point is it wise to insure the property while you're fixing it up? And two, at what point do you pull the trigger on insuring it?
Yeah.
So
want to tackle that real fast. That's a softball. It's easy.
Okay.
And so I think if you're choosing to insure your properties, then you would insure it as soon as you close. And if it needs a renovation, you'd get what's called a builder's risk insurance policy. And so why do I say if you're choosing to? So for 25 years, we have chosen to self-insure all of our small projects. So if it's a single family home that we're renovating, we generally go the route of not paying the money for insurance. It's only after we're going to keep it as a rental or the bigger projects that we've done much insurance on. And that's worked out well for us, but we're very high volume, right? So that's why that works out so well. A builder's risk insurance policy on your deal in Maine couldn't cost very much. Like I think you'd close on it and you get that policy for 6 months or a year, and maybe it costs you $1,000 or $2,000 for a project your size, right? Like they're going to do it based off of what you're purchasing the property for and how much money you're putting in it. So, maybe you're insuring it for $150,000 value or something. The other thing I'd mention about insurance is that even when we buy insurance, we want to insure the value of the structure, right? Because the land always has some value. You're never going to lose that. So if, say my property's worth $150,000 and $50,000 of it is land, I really only need a $100,000 insurance policy just to cover the building. The land's always going to be worth what the land is worth. So that saves you some money on that insurance. The one other thing, I guess maybe I shouldn't have said one last thing, but insurance, when you do a builder's risk, however long you do that policy for, you don't get any of that money back. So if you insure for 6 months and you get it done in 3 months, you're going to get a new insurance policy once it's a dwelling, once someone's living there, or once it's being rented. So you want to kind of talk to your insurance agent about that. If you insure something typically for an entire year and you were to have a regular homeowner's insurance and you sold it inside of the year, you'd either not have to pay or you'd get back those months that you didn't use the insurance, but that's not the way a builder's risk policy works.
Okay. My builder's risk, they do 6 months up front. So if I have a year-long project, I insure for a year. They take the first 6 months immediately, but then if I sell in month 7, I do get a refund on that remainder time. But when I do a 3-month policy or a 6-month policy, which I prefer to do anyways, they just take it all. So on the year-long, though, I would talk to them about that.
Okay. And to be maybe to be clear, to get more clarification, oftentimes if you were to go into the fix and flip, planning on using a general contractor, more than often they would bring that to the table anyway, right?
No.
No, I don't think so. I think they'd have a separate policy. They're going to have their own insurance. They're going to have workman's comp that they should be bringing to the table. They probably even have some other kind of liability. And
Yep.
if they're big enough, they're going to have an insurance policy that covers if they do something to damage the house. For instance, the one I'm thinking of is my good friend is a tree service guy, and he's got $1 million policy. If he drops the tree on top of your house when he's taking the tree out,
Right.
he's got $1 million policy. They'll rebuild your house, right? But I think they're two separate things. So just, you know,
Okay.
your contractor's going to have his own set of insurance.
Yep.
You want to have that builder's risk policy.
Okay.
And if you get a loan, they're going to make you get the builder's risk no matter what. It's only when you're doing equity investing that you have a choice in the matter.
Okay.
Yeah. And Aaron, just so we're clear, when I first started out, we insured everything, right? Like I was borrowing hard money at the time, and hard money lenders would make me get an insurance policy. And even going further into where I was having equity partners, if my equity partner says, "Hey, I want you to insure this," well, then we'll get an insurance policy.
Okay.
If my equity partner's been doing dozens of deals with me over the last couple of years, they know how we operate, and it's a risk for everybody, but it's pretty moderate risk, right? Like I can't remember exactly how many times we've called in an insurance policy over 25 years and thousands of deals, but it's probably not much more than a handful of times ever. I definitely don't think I get past 10 fingers. Like I don't think we've had an insurance claim 10 times in 25 years. I really don't. And I live in Florida with hurricanes and all of the problems that you can have.
Yeah.
Okay.
So not telling you what to do, just telling you what we've done. We ran the math and thought that it was cheaper for us to save $1,000 or $2,000 that it would cost for an insurance policy, you know, across 100 houses in a year. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I do think the volume on that is important, though. If you're only doing one deal, I'd just insure it. But if you're doing 100, well, then if something happens to one house, all the money you saved from not doing it on the 99 others, you can put towards the deal. Yeah.
That's what we looked at, right? If it's $100,000 or $200,000 a year that we aren't spending, and then something goes wrong, there'd have to be a really big something that we would eat through $100,000, right?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Well, that's sort of my next question is kind of on the same lines. And it's about how do I go about, what's the best way to structure the LLC that we will form? Do I want to enter that LLC as myself, or do I want to enter that LLC as another LLC? Does that make sense? And then likewise for the equity partner, would they want to come in as Joe Smith or Joe Smith LLC?
Sure. Let me plug school real quick, because we're going to do our master class on school this week on deal structure. Yeah. So this will be like a precursor to that, I guess. But when I'm dealing with people who are just starting out, I tell them this: if you're joining an LLC with me and you have your own LLC already set up, go ahead and use it. But if you've never done it before and you're not sure if you're going to be a high volume person, you really don't have to go through the extra step of having an LLC to join the LLC.
Okay.
If you're going to make a business out of it, if you're going to do this 2, 3, 4, 5 times a year, yes, I mean, set up the LLC. You're going to have some extra protections from that. But really, if it's your first go at this and you're not sure whether you're going to like this and if you're going to continue to do this as a business, I don't think that you have to set up an LLC to be inside of an LLC. Now, there are some neat protections, and we'll probably get into that in more detail on the masterclass. But McKenna, what do you think? Does that sound right, or do you have a different
That sounds
idea?
right to me. If you're only going to do one or two deals, you just need the one LLC that owns the property. That already provides 99% of the protection that you're looking for. I feel like the only other benefit from having an LLC that owns your ownership in the LLC is you can start to separate your assets really definitively, where this LLC owns this and this and this, and this other LLC owns this, and they're completely separate entities, and there's no way to break that barrier. But that would be.
You want to do it because we're
Talking to the mic.
Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt. I didn't mean to interrupt you, McKenna. I was just asking real quick. Wouldn't you just want to do like a one-off LLC for flips and then just have a stable one for long-term rentals and stuff like that? Or
Yeah, it's actually exactly what I was thinking that I would answer that is that, we have an LLC in Florida that owns rental properties, and we have another LLC in Florida that does flips. And sometimes the two meet, right? Like, so we'll have the flip LLC be the trustee for the rental property company, or sometimes vice versa. But we try to have this delineation. If we're going to keep it, it goes in CPR Rentals. If we're going to flip it, it goes in FP Consultants. That's how we've set that up. And then in Florida, and we're going to probably get deeper into this stuff. We'll get into the weeds a bit on the masterclass. But in Florida, we have this beautiful, beautiful way to own real estate called a land trust. And it's an amazing way. So we have the land trust with two LLCs. One's the trustee, one's the beneficiary. And we feel like we get some massive protections from that. But anyways, I wanted to also mention that one of my best friends and kind of longtime regular partners, his name's Garrett, and I talk about him on the channel pretty regularly. He's probably done 250 deals with me in his own personal name. So whether that's a land trust or whether that's inside of an LLC in Puerto Rico or wherever we happen to be doing deals, Garrett's a part of that, and he just does it in his own name. He comes in and owns the LLC with me, or owns the land trust with me in his own personal name, and he's never had a problem.
Yeah. Okay. I really like the idea of having a management company that owns nothing, and it is your front-facing company. If people look you up, that's the company they find, and it has no assets, but it is the manager, the contractor. If you were going to get in trouble, it'd be with that company. And then you have a different LLC that owns everything, and that company isn't out there. It's harder to find. People don't know what it owns, what it doesn't own. And then if the management company gets sued for whatever reason, it doesn't own anything, it can just shut down and go away, and a new one can come in its place. Yeah. And we're gonna go more into that on Thursday as well, guys. So be on the lookout for the Lincoln School.
Yeah, that's an awesome question. So Aaron, thanks. That was an unintentional segue into that, and I think that's pretty cool how the universe works there. Because I don't think you knew that we were going to do that masterclass this Thursday.
No, I didn't. That's good.
That worked out well.
Those were 2 minutes.
Those were. Oh, I got 2 more minutes.
You got 2 minutes.
Yeah, man.
Gotta go quick. Here we go.
Keep going.
All right.
You're good.
Well, I think last week I may have alluded. Last week I alluded a bit to another deal in northern Maine, and maybe I can just allude to it a little bit more. I've done a little bit more digging, but I'd like to acquire. It's a 1,800 square foot American four-square house built in 1900. So it's a big boxy square house, 2 floors, and it's got a ring on the side of it that serves as an entryway and a kitchen or something. I don't know. The point is, it's very close to a medical center, the biggest medical center in the county, and that medical center is having a hard time with their nursing staff and getting traveling nurses because they don't have any place to stay. So I think a conversion of this big square building into some sort of, chop it up, dice it up. I don't know if you'd need sprinklers on the up and up to make something like that happen, but I think there's a play up there, where you could share some living space and probably charge, $1,000 a month per person in rural northern Maine, which would be, top of the market up there. Anyway, that's something that I'm super interested in. I've looked at the property, I've driven, I've walked around, I've done all that stuff.
How many renters could you get in the house? 4 or 5?
Yeah, I think easily you could do a 4-unit. Easily do a 4-unit, but I think there's a way to do more.
Man.
And because the lot is so big, there's room to put another building. So yeah, I think this is another good one to chase. And I'll put together some numbers and submit it to the group in the next week probably.
And you said it was for a flip?
Well,
no,
he's
talking about long-term rents.
Yeah, I really want to try and keep what we're finding. I know this first one, I had a nice conversation today, and but once again, I think if somebody jumps in or if somebody's offering me money, I'm gonna have to flip it. I'm looking.
Yeah, and I saw inside of the school app that you're at least having a conversation with someone that says they'd like to JV with you. Hopefully that's going well.
Yeah, we had a conversation today, and there's opportunity. Yeah, there's opportunity there. I've got to do a little bit more thinking on my side to figure out how this particular person would really come into the mix, and then how they would be compensated. So
right,
which might be a question I send you, Robbie. Sidebar.
Yeah, for sure. I'm happy to have that conversation with you. Also, really happy to have that be something that happens. And so if we facilitate that inside of what we're doing over on school, that's exactly what we want to have happen, right? Like that's something that we'll need to do a full-on video about. And that's where we see this community going. We're gonna learn together and network and then do deals together. And that's really kind of the idea of what we're doing over there. So I can't wait for that. So, all right. So we're trying to stick to the 15 minutes, but stick around. We're going to answer a bunch of questions for other people, and you can pop back in. Maybe they have questions for you, and then you'll get to answer that. And, next week, we're probably going to let someone else win, but don't stop doing what you're doing, Aaron, because you're really helping us a lot to drive engagement, and we really appreciate that. So, guys, just like on the Monday Night Live, you asking questions and you being engaged, that's how all of this kind of works. So whether you're in school or whether you're here on the YouTube Live, questions and being engaged, that's what it's all about for us. Doing deals together. Obviously, that's where we want to go with it. So, all right, let's see. We've got some questions. We'll bring you back up, and Aaron, we may have some questions for you, so stand by. And thank you very much.
Hey, and guys, post your questions in the chat now. We're going to get to them, and we're excited to get going.
I can't read it, Adon. Ask it out loud.
You can't read that?
It doesn't matter.
If someone loses everything and they are starting from the bottom up, what would be your advice, and what would be the first step besides getting education to be successful?
Okay. Well, I've been there and I've done that, first of all. For me, when I went broke, I was already a real estate investor. And so that is how I would answer that question, is from a point where I had a skill set. And so I would ask the question back to you, Carla, is like, what is your skill set? What are you good at? And that's the sort of business that I would go after. And I would try and bring people value so that they would pay me to do it and get myself out of being broke. For me, I was very fortunate that I went broke at a time in real estate that was about a year and a half or 2 years before the whole world went broke, and just nothing but God's timing. So by the time the rest of the world was going broke and coming down, I was going back up. And because of God's timing, it worked out really well for me. But trying to find something that I'm talented at, that I have a skill with, and then provide that value to someone, that's where I'd start. I mean, that's how I start every business that I've got, is you look at the problem that I can solve. What problem am I able to solve really well? And then start solving that problem for people. The bigger the problem, the more you get paid. McKenna, do you want to jump in here? Don, maybe you got something to say too. You guys are both business owners.
I'm still broke, so I'm figuring it out.
Not still broke.
Carla, I am also still broke. And I'm still figuring it out.
Wait, because I'm a real estate investor, so that means there are times during the year that I'm still broke. So
yes, that is one theme that you'll hear on this channel. You know, I've got 15 rentals and 4 flips going on right now, and I'm broke. I've got no money, but next month I'm gonna have a lot of money, and the month after that I'll be back to no money. It just goes up and down. And anyways, to answer your question, for me, my skill set that I think that I could do is I would go and get a sales job pretty immediately. I know that I've had success with that in the past, where if I get on the phone, I can talk to people, I can do deals, I can make things happen. And once I have a little bit of wiggle room in my life and I'm no longer being chased by creditors or whatever, if I'm really at the bottom, then I would look to pivot to where I'm my own boss again, and I'm taking a skill that I have and provide it for other people.
And I'd like to circle back and answer it one more time and in a different way, because we are a real estate investment channel and we're here talking about real estate investing. If you're broke and you're just trying to get back on your feet and make some fast money, I say this all the time. Everything starts with having a great deal. And I believe that you do not have to have any money to go find a great deal. So, Carla, I know you're looking at real estate and you're excited about it. I would start making offers on it even while I don't have any money, and doing networking and things like you're doing inside of, well, tonight and inside of the school platform. Everything starts with a deal. So these conversations that you can have, they all start and they really accelerate at the point that you can say, like Aaron just said, hey, I can buy this house in Maine for $50,000, put 50 grand in it and sell it for 250 or 300, some kind of crazy number, right? That it's a tremendous deal. And now he gets to have a conversation with a whole bunch of people who are going to want to talk to him. And for sure, anyone can do this. This is not something where you have to have a whole bunch of money. You can go online and find great deals. You can drive your neighborhood and find great deals, but that's how I would probably attack it.
Yeah. Real estate wholesaling, you get to learn about real estate, you get to see everything that's available, and you get to make a lot of money if you're good at it. And the way you're successful, both in wholesaling and in traditional house flipping, you have to make a lot of offers. You have to look at a lot of real estate.
Yeah. So I hope that's helpful. And if you have more questions, put them in there, Carla, and we'll get back to you.
Frankie asks, what's your opinion on trying to buy in Puerto Rico if you live in Florida? Do you recommend it? Is it best to buy flips with minimal work needed? I'm assuming in Puerto Rico, or it could be a separate question.
Well, I think he's talking about Puerto Rico. And so, Frankie, I have other content out there where for the last few years, I have been kind of screaming from the rooftops that Puerto Rico, I believe, is the very best place to invest in real estate in the whole entire world. I got a lot of reasons for that. I'm from Florida, so I still highly recommend investing in Puerto Rico real estate right now. It's kind of just bounced off of the bottom. It has a lot of room to go up, and there are lots of opportunities here. So I believe far more opportunities exist on the island of Puerto Rico that are great deals that you can make really good money and be safe about it, as opposed to Florida. And I think Frankie's from Miami. And if that's true, then it's it's like your money goes 4 or 5 times as far for a working class type house. And yeah, if you're just starting out, the easier the renovation, the better. Go
Where
ahead.
are those deals?
Where are which deals?
The easy renovations.
Man, so Don's asking where are those deals, because we seem to only do the really hard renovations. And that's probably a self-inflicted wound that I have, because, well, I like doing the big renovations because I think there's a lot of upside there. And so I try and tackle those. And when I have the easy renovations, I manage to make them hard anyway.
Yeah.
I had an easy renovation that Jason brought me. It's a penthouse in Miramar. It should be the easiest renovation that I've done in 3 years. And, 4 contractors later and
A new roof.
2 or 3 times longer than we should be, and deciding to raise the roof. I mean, literally take the roof off the penthouse and then build it back. It wasn't as easy as it should have been.
Yeah.
But they're out there. They're definitely out there. And I'll tell you, if you're looking at enough properties in Puerto Rico, we just bought one with Juan Perlam. Juan's a part of this community, and Juan went and he finds the really hard stuff. He finds these estates, and Puerto Rico, the way that people inherit properties in Puerto Rico, it creates an absolute mess. And Juan is able to fight through that mess and get all of the heirs in one room at one time and buy these great deals. And so I bought one with him a few weeks ago that he turned around and did absolutely nothing on, and he sold it for 200, bought it for 115,000. I put up all the money. He sold it for $200,000. So Juan made $70,000. I made a little bit of money being his money partner, as the hard money partner. But they're out there right now. Juan's an experienced real estate investor, but I'm just telling you, Puerto Rico has deals like that wouldn't happen in Orlando, Florida. McKenna, you back me up. Is it? I just don't think that happens, or at least it doesn't happen very often. That you could
the most
get
I
in and
ever
out
made
that
on
quick.
a wholesale was 30,000. I have paid a wholesaler 50 grand one time, and I thought it was a bit much, but I still made money on the deal. But yeah, they're very few and far between.
Well, the guy who bought this is a local real estate guy who's going to fix it up and resell it. He bought it for 200. He's going to put 50 in it, and then he's going to sell it for 375 or 380. He said is his target. So he's still going to make a huge profit.
Huge. And the reason Juan is able to get that spread, though, is he is going and finding these heirs in the States, and he is the only person that I know that is capable of organizing that. If you get into that niche, you can make a ton of money. It's just a ton of work, and he's really good at it, and he knows how to find people. But that is the reason he gets paid these massive paychecks, is because he's doing
you solve
a
big
very
problems, you
valuable
get
thing.
paid big money. Yeah. We got another question.
What are the key legal considerations and regulations I should be aware of when I'm investing in Puerto Rico?
I'd have to follow up. Where are you from? I don't think that there are. I'm trying to think if there's anything that's significantly different from buying in Florida, California, Georgia, Texas, to buying on the island of Puerto Rico. So the nice thing is here, Puerto Rico is part of the United States of America. So you have the same government, you have the same rule of law. Let me think about that and stew on it a little bit. I'm just not coming up with anything that is drastically different for buying a piece of real estate on the island of Puerto Rico versus buying it in the States. You can still get title insurance. You still need to pull permits when you're doing major renovations. You can still sell to an FHA buyer. The similarities are way more than the differences.
This is a bit of a left turn on the question, but the key regulations and laws for me are the Act 60 benefits. There are so many benefits and grants from the local government to make your investments profitable. They want you to succeed. They want to give you money. You just have to go through their system. If you're doing what they want you to do, they will reward you. And that's no other state is like that I know of.
Yeah, right now, Act 60 tourism is it's got to be the best. You know, combining that with an opportunity zone and an Act 60 tourism is maybe the only thing that's better. But Act 60 and getting 40% of your investment back is pretty powerful. So
yeah, there's a reason Hard Rock is coming to Old San Juan with $500 million for their new resort. They're going to get 40% of it back, $200 million,
yeah,
which is a staggering amount of money.
yeah, and it's not like the government is handing them $200 million. They're going to give them a credit that they can then go sell to a high net worth individual at 92 cents on the dollar. So anyways, feel free to have a follow-up question to that if we didn't quite get to the answer that you want. But
Frankie, I live in Miami, so my logical mind tells me no contractors buy property in PR that doesn't need construction. No contractors buy property in Puerto Rico that doesn't need construction. That's not making sense to me. Dad, are you understanding that?
well, I think if you're going to buy good deals in Puerto Rico, they're going to need construction. So I'll just leave it at that. Like, yeah, listen, the value add stuff is where you really make the spread. If you're buying the really nice stuff, is there potentially a spread? Sure, there probably is still a better spread on the nice stuff that you're making small spreads on. But in Puerto Rico, this value add real estate investing really, really works because you can buy a 7-family house and turn it into a guest house hotel and get 40% tax credits. And all you've done is you've said, oh, it was a 7-family house, but it's in Santurce. I'm going to turn it into a small hotel and I'm going to renovate it to be that. And you jump through the hoops that the government wants you to jump through and you get your 40% tax credits. And there's other good benefits with Act 60 that come along with that.
Yeah. Random says there's no title companies in Puerto Rico. Yeah, all of the title is handled by attorneys. So but you still can get title insurance on your deals. You've gone through that process a few times, right?
You get title insurance and you get it insured through the major title insurers that you use in the States. So Old Republic and who are the other big title companies, McKenna? First American, I think, Old Republic, Stewart Title. I think they all sell title insurance on the island. It's just not as common, right? Like the system is set up so that you close with an attorney. They're a notary, but it's not like the notaries are back home where you just go online and you get your notary license. Notaries on the island are all attorneys. And so their license is on the line and they have their own E&O insurance. And when I first came to the island, that was a big deal. I got title insurance on my first $40,000 property. And the guy closing, it's like, why are you throwing your money away with this title insurance? I'm the notary. I'm going to tell you everything that's ever happened with this property and you don't need it. And so we have gone and bought a bunch of stuff without paying that extra money. However, if we're spending big money, 3, 4, 5, 600,000 or $1 million or more, we're going to get title insurance. So just as like an extra because we can get it sort of protection.
Yeah. Just like what we were saying with insurance with Aaron, if you're doing big projects, you want it. Blake, do you know how Juan finds the owner's contact information? I can get names, addresses, and Castro numbers, but not phone numbers.
I have no idea how Juan does what he does. But you can reach out to Juan inside of the school group. He's in both groups. So I think you can message him, Blake. Blake's in our group, right?
Yes.
Over on school.
I'm pretty sure that Juan gets a decent amount of contact info from neighbors. I think that he is going door to door often, meeting neighbors, asking the old grandmas on the street if they know the owners or the heirs of these properties. And he's just doing massive volumes too, where he's looking for thousands of properties and, hundreds of people. And so if he only finds a couple of them, he's still doing okay.
I think also people bring Juan these deals, right? Because they know that he can do it. So if Juan gets something done and he's successful on one house on the street, then there's another house the next block over that the neighbors hear about and they go to Juan. Because really, what he does is very, very hard. The
Yes.
route that Juan takes, I don't think that there's a harder way to buy a property on the island of Puerto Rico than doing what Juan does. And that's why he makes big money, right? Like that's, I won't chase those deals. I don't have the time to put in that effort to chase those deals. I want to say again, Blake, reach out to Juan on the school. He's over there and he's pretty willing to have a chat with you and be forthcoming and give you guys a heads up. And I'll tell you why he's so
Very
willing to
friendly
tell you
guy.
all of that is because even if he tells you exactly what to do and how to do it, it's hard as fuck to go do it. Sorry.
How long does it take to get the 40% tax credit?
3.5 to 4 years. So it's a numbers game and it's you do the full renovation, and then once you're open for a year, assuming you've already gone through all of the hoops to get yourself approved, you get your first tranche after you've been open for 1 calendar year. Now that could be 1 day in the year, like if you open December 30th and you're open for December 31st, that whole year counts. But our experience is that it's going to take you, if you do it really fast, maybe 3.5 years. If you probably, I would say 4 years is when you start to get that first tranche. And we did it on the Surfing Turtle the quick way. So there's a 40% long way and a 30% quick way where in theory you're supposed to go faster. It still took us 4 years and we only got 30%. So I'm never making that mistake again. And I advise you guys, for the most part, just go for the 40%. It takes them a couple of years to process through the applications. So it's not like this is instant. Don't expect it to be quick. As a matter of fact, if you're going to invest in Puerto Rico, don't expect anything to be quick. Bragging about Juan Perlon again, and I wish he was here, but he just did a deal where he got in and out in 3 or 4 weeks. Honestly, that's the fastest deal that I can remember doing on the island. So been here for 6.5 years, and for him to buy it using my money and then get it sold in the same calendar month, that was just absolutely phenomenal. He did that so fast, my eyes were spinning. So I've never seen that before. I don't expect to see that on the next deal. Don't expect things to go fast on the island of Puerto Rico.
Justin says, I live in Boca Raton and just bought my first home in PR last month. Almost rent ready. So Frankie, you can do it too. And Justin's coming to the island back and forth, and he's doing an awesome job. So nice job, Justin. I'm glad that it's going well. I'm hoping that you get that thing fully rented soon.
Yeah, we're excited to follow that progress and have you come back in and talk to us about it.
Pips Pay For It says, can you get Act 60 benefits being a Puerto Rican resident, or is it just people and LLCs from abroad?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And there is I guess it's you will hear that the local you will hear that the local population is not able to get Act 60. And there is one part of Act 60 that for whatever reason, it's a poorly written law. It's not eligible for the local population unless they've lived off of the island for a long time and then they're moving back. But all of the rest of Act 60 is available to local people as well. So that means the Young Entrepreneurs Act, a part of Act 60, locals can do it. The Export Services Act, locals are eligible for it. And for definite sure, the hospitality part of Act 60 is available to locals. And Adon has been a part of Act 60 or looks at Act 60 potential projects all the time. And Adon's eligible if he wanted to start a young entrepreneur's business. He's still young enough that he could do that. And he's a local guy. But when Adon came back to the island and asked his accountant, hey, am I eligible for this? Guess what his accountant said? His accountant said, no, you're not eligible. Adon, you want to talk about that for a second? Because I think this is an important question to answer for people.
You should always get third and fourth and sixth different opinions
Until you find the opinion you
until
want.
find the one
Until you get the opinion you want.
'Cause I went to this one lady. I just came back and she's like, no, you don't apply for anything. Nothing. Like it wasn't that Act 20 or 22. It was nothing. You get nothing.
Yeah.
That's it. And I was like, all right, well, I guess that's it.
Yeah, and what Adon said has been our experience too. When we first came to the island, part of setting up a business, we talked to multiple lawyers. We talked to multiple accountants. And I'm thinking if we talked to 6 lawyers before we opened the LLC and 6 accountants, so we talked to 12 different professionals, guys, I'm telling you for sure, we got more than 12 opinions on how we were supposed to do things. I don't know how that works, but everybody had at least one opinion, and some of them had 2. And it was amazing to kind of figure out how to navigate this stuff, which is one of the reasons that we've got the YouTube channel, is that we want to kind of peel the curtain back and let people see that this stuff really doesn't have to be that hard. So you do get multiple opinions, and you will be told you can't do things that you can do. And so I think it's very good advice to don't take no for an answer.
Yeah. Which areas in Puerto Rico are currently the most lucrative for real estate investment?
The entire island. Okay, so I'm a value add real estate investor. I don't buy multi-million dollar homes, so I'm probably not going to Dorado Beach East and going to buy a $9 million teardown to renovate it and flip it for $30 million. But that could be profitable for someone who does that. I'm also not looking at Palmas del Mar, and I don't like the super expensive areas. So I think anywhere San Juan metro area and outside of the San Juan metro area, you can really get good deals. There are just a few places, Old San Juan, Palmas del Mar, Dorado East, that I stay away from. The rest of the island, I think, is fair game. And depending on the type of investing you're going to do, lots of money to be made. So if I'm going to buy a hotel, I want to be in the San Juan metro area if I can. If I want to buy a small house to flip, one of the best flips that we've done on the island was a small house that's up in the mountains of Caguas. And we bought it for like $16,000, fixed it up for 20 or so, and then sold it for 115 or 120. And that was a great deal. I mean, so there's something for everybody. I do like the San Juan metro area, but getting out of the really expensive stuff. So I still love Santurce. I still even like Miramar, although that's pretty close to too expensive for me. And that's just what I do, guys, right? Like, so I like to buy the cheap stuff. There are people that have been very successful buying in Condado and very successful buying in Old San Juan. Really, I don't think of any area where someone can't come and be successful buying real estate there.
It just depends on what you have to invest.
Yeah, it depends on how much money you have to invest and what your comfort level is. I came from Florida and we liked to buy cheap houses. We liked to buy things that were 100 to 150 or 200,000, fix them up and sell them for 200 to 300,000. And that kind of same house, when we got to the island, we could buy for 35 or 40,000 and sell it for 120,000. So that was what we did. And I kicked myself a little bit that I didn't go into these more expensive areas and buy some stuff really cheap back in the day. But I like the whole island. I really do.
What's the age for the young entrepreneurs?
35. If you're not 36, if you're 35 and 364 days old, you can apply for the Young Entrepreneurs Act if you get it in before you turn 36. Is that right, Adon? That's what I believe.
I gotta ask one of those 6 accountants. I thought it was 31.
It's definitely not 31. It's I'm like 99% sure that it's 35. I'm only not sure because I'm not young enough to do it, so I didn't check that closely, but I believe that it's 35. I'm really pretty certain.
Jose asks, aside from location and ROI, what things do you personally look at in property in Puerto Rico?
Those are the big ones, right? Like location, how much work does it need, where it's at, and what kind of investment I'm doing. So when I came to the island of Puerto Rico, we came with 3 business models in mind. We were going to buy single family houses and fix them up and sell them to retail buyers. We were going to buy small multifamily properties and fix them up and rent them either to Section 8 or standard renters. And we were going to buy some things from the banks and just sell them to other real estate investors. Those were our 3 business models. We were planning to just buy things and sell them to other investors, buy things, renovate them and sell them retail, buy things, renovate them and rent them. And we crushed it on all 3 of those. And then about a year and a half in, we started buying properties that we could turn into hotels using back then it was Act 74, now Act 60. So most of the stuff is block. Yeah. Did I answer that right, you guys?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a tough question because location and ROI are really the only things we look at. If it has a huge ROI, it almost doesn't matter what the property is, and if it has a really small rate of return,
The location doesn't matter. Yeah.
yeah. Well, if it has a really small rate of return, we're probably not going to do it, even
Right.
if it is an awesome house and the location's fabulous. If the math doesn't make sense, if the math ain't mathin', we're not going to buy it. And I
Yeah,
know people.
that is what threw me off a little bit too. It's like that's what I'm looking. How cheap can I buy it? How much can I fix it up for? And what can I sell it for? Those are the things that I care about. And I don't really care if it's in Cabo Rojo or San Juan, Puerto Rico. If it's a great deal, that's what we're looking for. And there's not an area that I'm going to pay significantly more for, right? Like, so if I have to pay for a flip above our kind of rule, which is being all in at around 70%, I don't care where you put it. I'm probably not going to do it, right? Like that's just me. And I think there are other better opportunities out there. So it is really about the ROI, mostly about the ROI.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mary asked how many doors I have. I have 5 projects, no doors. I'm not keeping any of them. They're all for sale.
You have 5 projects and of
how many doors I have.
well, of the doors, so you got a 9 unit, you got a 5 unit, you got a house, and you got a 4 unit. So
Dang it, Don.
9, 18, you have 19 doors. You have 19 doors.
You've got me beat it, Don. I think I'm at 19, or I'm at 18 or 19 as well.
But
15
those
of
are your
those are
long-term,
rentals,
right?
4 are
Yeah.
flips.
19 doors and you sold what's a 7 or 8 unit now hotel. So 26 doors that Don has had on 5 deals on the island of Puerto Rico.
Gotta sell them all.
Got to sell them all.
Robert, how many doors do you have?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Jillian.
I do know. Let's see. I think our long-term rental portfolio is right at 65 to 70 doors right now here on the island of Puerto Rico. And it fluctuates because I just put a 12 unit apartment building online and we've got that fully rented now. And then we just recently sold a 3 unit and a 4 unit. So it kind of goes up and down as we're doing stuff. If we 65 doors, long-term rents, probably it's around 60 or so short-term rental doors. That fluctuates as well because we had more when we owned the Looking Glass Hotel and the Surfing Turtle. And so now I think we're down to 60 or so doors. And that's going up, by the way. So our nightly rental doors are on the rise. We're currently renovating 6, 12, 18. We're currently renovating 24 new apartments to go on Airbnb, eventually become a hotel. And I'm looking at buying a property that I'll turn into a bed and breakfast. That'll be another 3. So it always goes up and down, but call it 60 of each, 120 doors on the island.
Man. And for just $50 a month, I can be in your masterclass and do exactly what you do.
What a deal.
You know,
Seriously.
for $50 a month, you can be in the masterclass and you can do it better than I do it, because I give away all this. I tell people in real time what we're doing, how we do it. And I'll even tell you when I'm doing things wrong. Like I actually probably say more about the stuff where we mess up than when we do something right, because that's where I'm learning, right? So I think that's where other people can learn. So
Yeah.
I talk a lot about this little apartment that Jason Ford found for me, and I butchered the renovation, you guys. It's a beautiful place now, but it should have been the easiest renovation we've done in years. And I ended up going through 4 contractors and spending more money than I should, and it took way longer than it should. Thank God we'll still make money on it because we bought it right.
You make your money on the buy. You say that all the time, and that's true. If you're buying these deals that are right on the edge, if anything goes wrong, you're in a really bad spot. And in real estate, things go wrong. I saw a couple questions about how we're finding deals. Alexander's got one on the screen here. May I ask, how did you find a $16,000 property in Cogwis? Amazing deal.
Yeah.
That one you got at auction, didn't you?
Yeah. I when I first came to the island, I was buying bank-owned properties at auction. So it was our preferred place to go and buy. We were buying bulk properties from the bank, and we were buying at auctions. And that was it. Like the first 2.5 years of being on the island, I never negotiated with a seller. I don't think at all. Like we just weren't buying stuff from regular people. We were only buying from the banks. That kind of inventory got eaten up, a lot of it, but there still are auctions. So Central Casa Subasta just had an auction maybe last month. I didn't attend. And they have one every quarter. Central Casa Subasta has these auctions every quarter. Reality Realty, I just was with one of their brokers the other day and asked them if they had an auction coming up, and he said they have several before the end of the year. So those are great places to go and find places. Go and find
a side
great
note
deals.
on those auction guys, they're not like auctions in the States. They've got DJs, they've got lights.
It's the most fun auction you've ever been to.
They're very cool.
Yeah.
You buy a house and you feel like you're a huge celebrity.
Yeah, it's true. It's a lot of fun. They're ringing cowbells, and the guys breaking the gavel over the podium, and just what a fun time it is. So do we have more questions, guys? Put your questions up there, and we'll go for another few minutes, and then we'll finish it out.
Pip pays for it says, what are the key things necessary to make an apartment ready for Section 8?
Oh, so there's a list that Section 8 puts out, and it's really easy to follow, right? So you got to have screens on the windows. Your windows need to open and close. Doors need to open and close. You've got to have hot water. The lights need to come on and go off. So good electric, good plumbing. It's really easy. This is not rocket science at all. You can follow their list, and you're talking about like workforce housing. So it's just make sure everything works, and that's really it. And the list you can just Google search it. What qualifies for Section 8 housing or FHA qualifications, they're the same, but it's a pretty bare bones list of things that you need to renovate in order to qualify for Section 8.
I will say they are thorough with their inspections, though. If you don't meet their list, they will tell you, and they'll give you a list of what you need to change, but they do check.
Yeah, so every time you're going to rent something Section 8, you're going to have an inspection, and you've got to pass the inspection. It's a pain in the butt if you don't pass the inspection the first time, because at least on the island of Puerto Rico, that means you're not going to get them back out to the house, at least not anytime soon. If you mess it up this month, it's probably next month before they're back out there.
Pierre asked, what would an investor look for when buying a property currently doing Airbnb? Pierre, do you want to keep it as an Airbnb, or do you want to change the use of the property? But let's assume that he wants to keep it as an Airbnb.
So if you want to keep it as an Airbnb and it's currently already an Airbnb, you want to look at the books. We are usually not buying properties that are already fixed up and on Airbnb, but I'm often selling things that are fixed up, and a lot of times they're on Airbnb. So what we would show you as a seller of someone who's got a property on Airbnb is, you know, what has it been renting for? What is the average daily rate? What is the occupancy rate? You know, where is the property? I think that's a really big one. Right now, if you're looking at Airbnb, I think location has become extremely important on the island of Puerto Rico, and then finding something that sets itself apart from just kind of the everyday. So we like to over renovate our Airbnbs on the island of Puerto Rico. So when you compare one of our units to some other units that are in the same neighborhood, we try to have ours be clearly the nicest. Those are the things that I would look for. Again, it's about the return on investment, right? So if they can show you the math and it works, then that's what you're looking for. And a lot of times when you're buying something that's already on Airbnb, you're being charged the premium because they did the renovation and they put it to that level of nice, and they're not able to prove that it's making money. So be careful of that. I tell other people I'd rather buy something on long-term rental rate and then turn it into an Airbnb than go out and find something that's already an Airbnb. I'd really want to check the math.
And something with Airbnb too, you are not able to transfer that listing unless they only have one property and they'll just give you the account. There's no way for you to take over that listing. So you'll lose all the reviews they have. You'll lose all of their ranking, their discovery, list. So even if they are doing X amount of dollars, if they have 5 stars and 500 reviews, you don't get those. You're going to have to start over. You're going to have to build it back up, and that's absolutely going to impact your revenue. Pip asked you,
I caution people of buying things based off Airbnb numbers. Like I don't love that business model. And I'm telling you that as someone who's probably about to put some apartments online that could be great for Airbnb, but I'm going to sell them at what they're worth as apartments for someone to live in. And then if somebody comes around and they make them an Airbnb, then that's going to be great. I'm not going to try and sell this dream of the Airbnb. I just happen to have a couple of apartments that are renovated that I'm currently myself and my business partner are living in, and we're going to move to another part of the island. So we're going to sell them, and they would make tremendous Airbnbs, but I don't want to sell them based on some dream of this revenue. So I'll just say, hey, here are what apartments like this are selling for in this area around, maybe across the street and the next building over. And that's what we're going to sell them for.
Do you guys have a ready to go template of a contract or agreement to be able to put a deal under contract to wholesale? In Florida, we use the FAR bar as is. You can Google it. It's very simple, very standard. What do you guys use in Puerto Rico?
There isn't a standard one that I have. Do you?
I just make my own contract and see how far we can go.
Yeah. So here's what I do in Puerto Rico. I like to use a letter of intent, an LOI, and negotiate my deals without a contract, because contracts are very lengthy here. And at least right now, there's not a standard one that I've seen that is working. I mean, I'm just thinking back. I think every contract has been different on the island of Puerto Rico, and it depends on the realtor that you're using, whether it's bank owned, whether it's negotiating with an estate. There's different contracts. Different I like the letter of intent. You send the letter of intent over and it spells out what your offer is. Once you've got an accepted offer, then ask for the contract from the realtor, or if there's no realtor and it's just you and a seller, go to the closing agent, give them your letter of intent, say, hey, I need a contract for everybody to feel secure, and let them write it up.
Got another one.
What's it say? Ask there.
Go ahead.
Where is the best place to find properties in Puerto Rico? I'm currently looking on the MLS for Orlando, Stellar, because it shows Puerto Rico properties. Anywhere else I should be looking? Remember, I'm in Miami. Sorry, guys. And also, Stellar is the name of the MLS, guys. I didn't just say Stellar.
Yeah, so the MLS that you see is the Central Florida MLS, and there are properties there. I don't think that it's a tremendous place to look, but that's definitely a place. You can go to Central Casa Subasta. Red Atlas is a resource that I like to tell people about. They are a data resource, and they can help you. Zillow certainly has properties for sale, so lots of things get listed on Zillow. And Clasificados online is Puerto Rico's version of like Craigslist, and that's probably the thing that's used the most.
And Facebook Marketplace.
And
for PR.
Facebook Marketplace, yeah. So Facebook Marketplace and this Craigslist or Clasificados online are probably the places where you'll find the deals. That's where the stuff that's good will pop up there, and it'll be there for a short time, and it'll get eaten up.
Santa Rita and the Nineplex were found that way.
Yeah, so we've got 2 projects right now that we found that way. Also, Cobian's Plaza was Facebook Marketplace. So I can think of 3 deals or 3 projects that we're involved with right now that were bought through Facebook Marketplace or Clasificados online. And Clasificados online's got a really good search system. You can search by town. I think it's definitely worth your while to pull that up and look at the things that they have for sale. Also, Deshow. There's a website called Deshow, DESHOW, and that is Banco Popular's real estate owned site. And you can go in and look at everything they've got for sale as well.
Frankie wants to take you out to lunch in Miami.
I've never been to lunch in Miami, so sounds good. Yeah.
So Carla asked, does the class setup offer Zoom or is it in person? So our master classes are all Zoom classes.
Yeah, so our master class is put on through the school network. Carla, I think you're in the free school, and every week we kind of let people in the free school know that we're putting on a master class. It's $50 to come into the master class. It's also $50 a month to be a part of the Apex real estate group on school, and you get access to all of our courses. Right now we've got a buy, fix, and flip course that's available inside of that. And we've got a couple of master classes we've already done. This week, our master class is on deal structure. So if you're a new real estate investor and you're trying to figure out how to structure things so that you can put yourself in a position to win, that's what this week's master class will be on. So yeah, Kenna, is Carla already in the paid school?
Carla, I'm not actually sure. I need to double check. We're growing so quick that I've lost track of everyone's names.
And you can set up a call with McKenna, Carla.
Yes, guys, if you're not in the Apex class and you have questions about it, in the free school community, there's a link to my Calendly. Happy to get on a call with you and answer any questions about how it works, what we're offering. We're trying to get as many people in there together because we want people that are serious about doing deals, that are going to work on partnering with people, that are going to work on finding deals. And that's what we're looking for when someone joins. Our goal is that in 90 days, you should be doing a deal if you're not already, if you want to in 90 days. I know some people don't want to, but if your goal is to do real estate quick, we'd love to get you in the group. Another thing too that I wanted to bring up, we are planning to raise the price in August up to $74. If you get in now, your price is locked in at $49. But you've got a couple weeks, but we are going to raise that price up soon. So yeah, I hope to see you guys there, and we'll drop a link to the Apex group directly as well in the comments. Pip asked, what's the preferred method for payment to buy deals on the island? Cashier's check, cash, wire transfer, crypto.
It's far and away cashier's checks are the way that this island works. You can use wire transfers, but it's way more difficult for some reason, and not at all common. So it's more common that you go get a whole bunch of cashier's checks and you go to the closing with that. We've sold some property on the island using crypto, and other people are doing that, but that's certainly not common. I'm definitely an outside of the box real estate investor. So I have some money in crypto because I took some money using crypto on an investment, and then the market plummeted, so I just kept it there. Hopefully one day I'll make my money back. Actually, I'm back up to positive right now. So, but I'm diamond hands, baby. I'm staying in.
I love it. Justin says, I was able to get the list in 15 minutes. However, it was only in Spanish, but not hard to translate. Which list is that?
Which list? Yeah.
I guess the auctions list. Maybe. And then the auction is, I put the link to Central Casa Subastas here. So
Awesome.
Yeah, it's
Justin
Central
also-
Casa Subasta is the auction house.
Yeah. Justin also said it would be cool if a group of us went to an auction and did a deal together. We love going to the auctions. It's fun to go with people. If we're all buying stuff, it would certainly be a party.
You know, Justin, the house that you just bought from us, I was at, I think it was the first auction I was ever at. That's when I bought that house. I partnered with a guy who was in the Coast Guard that I didn't know on that deal. Like literally, I bought the house and then I looked around the room and I said, hey, does someone want to partner with me on this? And so let's do it. Let's go to the auction. If you come to the auction with Robbie Krager, the Flip Flop Flipper, I guarantee you one thing. We're going to bid on every damn house that goes through the auction. I bid on them all. And by, you know, the last few auctions, I have been really completely outbid. I think the last property I bought was 6 or 8 months ago, and I might have overpaid. I bought a little house in Carolina Mountains for 35 grand, and maybe I overpaid, but I'll still make money on it. So, but if you go to the auction with me, come ready to buy, because we're bidding. We're bidding for sure.
He's not joking, guys. There's going to be 100 properties, and it's going to be him and 2 other Puerto Rican dudes that bid on every single property. And then everyone else, 100 people in the room, are just there to watch. In an auction, what is the amount of money that you have spent the most when you win the bid in Puerto Rico?
So on auctions in Puerto Rico, I think our biggest one's pretty low. Maybe I don't remember for sure, but $150,000, $200,000. I know we bought a fourplex in Carolina at the foreclosure auction, and we spent $145,000 on that one.
They can go.
What?
They can go higher, $1 million. And stuff.
Oh man, yeah. So no, that's just what I've done. That doesn't mean in Florida we've spent $750,000 at an auction on one house. Or what's more common is that over the years, when I'm going to the foreclosure sale, I'll buy several things in one day, and we'll spend hundreds of thousands of dollars because we, you know, bought 7 or 8 houses, and that's what it all adds up to, you know.
Mary wants to take you to lunch in Puerto Rico as well and show you projections. I'm thinking she means financial projections, but don't do mushrooms with Mary.
I haven't done mushrooms since I was in high school, so I'm good.
Frankie says, thank you, guys are awesome. I appreciate you. This won't be the last time you see me. Well, thanks, Frankie. We're glad to have you, and subscribe to the channel, join our school, click every button you can. It really helps us out.
You know, I think Frankie saw our YouTube channel today, and I'd love to have him chime in real quick if that's true, because I think he started commenting on some videos today, and now here he is on the YouTube live. So that's awesome.
Blake's going to the auction with Justin as well. So it sounds like we are putting a group together. We'll have to set something up. Mary says she's never done mushrooms. I was just kidding, Mary. I know.
Good. That's good. You know, about this partnering up stuff, that's what we want to do. We want to facilitate people doing deals together. I'm happy to jump in and do deals. I partnered with a guy who I met on the airplane one time arriving in Puerto Rico. He said, hey, I think I've seen you on YouTube, and I'm here to go look at real estate. Would you like to buy something? And we kind of walked to the luggage place, and I said, here's Raul Villanueva's phone number. Call him up, go look at some stuff. If you find a great deal, then call me. And if you need a partner, I'll partner with you. And 3 days later, I got a phone call from Raul saying, hey, I'm with this guy who you met on the airplane, and we're putting an offer in on this house. He said, you're in. So I partner with people, guys. This is really who I am. When I say it out there on YouTube, that we expand our business through partnerships, this is really true. That's who we are. That's what we've done for years, and we're going to continue to do that. So I'm not afraid to jump into deals.
Yeah. And the best way to do that, guys, is to bring a deal to the table. You know, a lot of people will send us a picture of a house from Google Streets and say, this looks like a great deal. And we'll ask them for that data, and they don't know the seller. It's not for sale. There's no deal. If you bring firm numbers, you know, renovation amounts, purchase prices, comparables, ARVs, we get excited. You know, we're ready to talk shop and do deals.
Yeah, I definitely believe that everything starts deal first, right? Like all the conversations start, hey, here's a great piece of real estate. We can buy it. It's really cheap. It only needs this amount of money to fix up. And then we're going to be able to sell it for a lot more money. That's what we want to talk about. I mean, you'll find hard money lenders there. You'll find people to partner with you. Those conversations are started because people have great deals, and having a great deal means, I think to McKenna's point, having it under contract, knowing that we can buy it at a great price and what it's going to cost to fix it up and what it would sell for ultimately at the end of the day. So yeah. I think we've gone a little bit past where we normally do. We do this Monday Night Live for about an hour. We're an hour and almost 15 minutes in, and that's because you guys have brought great questions, but I think we've got to wrap it up so that we're being thoughtful of everybody's time. We will do this again next week, and I think these Monday Night Live sessions are going incredibly well. I really appreciate everybody showing up and asking the questions. I would ask if you'll hit that little thumbs up button. If you'll hit that, that'll send out the YouTube algorithm a message to put this out so that other people can see it. And also, this is sort of a sneak peek of what we do over on the school site. So we've got Apex Real Estate over there, and it's $50 a month to join that, but you get access to our courses. Right now, we've got a buy, fix, and flip course. We've got a few masterminds that are already in the library there. We're about to put out another course, and each month we'll be putting out another course and 4 mastermind sessions. So if you like this format and you like asking questions, it's even more interactive over there. And we'd love to have you come and join us. So McKenna will put the link for that. That's all I got, guys. Thanks for coming in and spending your Monday night with us. And I hope to see you guys on school.
Absolutely. All right. We'll drop the link, and it's good to see you guys.
All right, guys. Have a blessed night.